Hi, and welcome to my Wisdom Wednesday episode number 73. So glad you're enjoying me today. So glad you've joined me today. And today our theme is going to be the here we go, the Will Smith quote of "I know who I am, I know what I believe, and that's all I need to know. From there, you can do what you need to do." But before we dive into that, of course, I'm going to ask you to remember to live in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. And if you don't know me, Carrie Fox, and my main mission in life is to remind people of living in harmony with their infinite connection. And to share with everybody my belief that we all came here for a purpose. In fact, we all came here for purposes, but the main purpose every one of us came to be on planet Earth right now is to have a grand adventure. We kind of came down on a vacation, and there's other purposes too, but the number one overall is to have a grand adventure. And so many of us are not doing that. We're not having the grand adventure. We actually get sidetracked. And also for the last few years, I've been working a lot with wounded women. And what that means is women who feel hurt or damaged, and they get to a point where they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And my job is to help them get their mojo back. But today, my focus is on you and me and everybody else in the world and how well you really know who you really are. So let's get to it. Now, most people think of themselves as a 3D human being, planet Earth. Their life is involved with who they are, what they do, their relationships. Are they in love? Are they looking for somebody? Are they fighting? Are they unhappy? Do they have children? What's their job? What's their car? It's all about this 3D human existence. And sometimes people someplace along the line have either heard the suggestion that we're more than just 3D human beings, that we're actually a child of God, that we actually have a spiritual connection. And I know there's even some people, probably many of you, who have also heard the concept that you're not just a human being, planet Earth. You're actually a spiritual being having a human experience. And I found people who hear that and they think about it, and yeah, they get it and they embrace it and they accept it for about 5 minutes. And then they go right back to living as a 3D human being, planet Earth. And that's where all their attention goes. And that's where all their intention goes. So this image is showing the spiritual part, as I commonly witness it in people. Is the yellow part is the 3D human being, and the little white thing in the center is their concept of spirituality. Maybe 10% of who they are is actually a child of God, spiritual energy, connected to the universe, source, God, etc. But I have found a much, 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 much better, that more accurately describes who you really are, is you are a part of cosmic consciousness, a part of the infinite universe, source, God, whatever words you want to use. And it's just a tiny little sliver of that energy that was dreamed into being and came down to be a 3D human being on the planet Earth. So these two images, the one on the left of being a human being and thinking that's the majority of who you are, and the image on the right is of your cosmic consciousness energy, is who you really are. It's so much bigger. It's so much more dynamic. It's so much more powerful. And these two things together make up your co-creation partnership. If you've ever heard about the law of attraction, or you've ever heard things about that things come to you that you attract, that's what I'm talking about here. As you are creating the world that you experience, the 3D human being you is ordering what you want from your cosmic consciousness you, and that's how you create the world about you. and I didn't want to get into it very much here, but I'll go into it just slightly. When you are sad and depressed and angry and irritated and resentful and hate people and get drunk all the time and not happy unless you're drugged out, that vibrational energy that you're putting out to the universe, that you're putting out to your cosmic consciousness self, gave you free will. So they're looking at you saying, this is the energy I'm sending out, is all this angst and struggle, saying, God, are you sure you really want that? Because you don't seem to be enjoying that very much. It's way off from your plan of having your grand adventure. Yet, when you are living your grand adventure and you're happy and you're loving and you're filled with kindness and caring about people and caring about the planet and caring about the animals and truly living in love as consciousness, as spiritual consciousness came here to do, then that's the energies that you're vibrating. And that's when the co-creative side of you, your cosmic consciousness, is going, oh yeah, you're definitely in harmony. So here, I'll give you more of that. I'll give you more of that. I'll give you more of that. So that quickly talks about who you really are. You, yes, are a little bit of a human being, planet Earth, but much, 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 much bigger. You are co-creative energy. So that kind of brings us back to today's subject of Will Smith's quote. And I just love this quote so much. When I first saw it, I went, oh, I want to do a Wisdom Wednesday on that. He starts with, I know who I am. And to me, that means I understand the greatness of the energy of my cosmic consciousness that I have backing me up, that has my back as I'm living this 3D life experience. And that I know what I believe, same concept. And that's all I need to know. Beautiful concept. And then he says, from there, you can do what you need to do. And I think that that is such an enlightened place to be, to not be invested in what anyone else thinks of you, because you're living from a place of peace and love. But I do want to look at one concept or one exception to caring what other people say about you. And that exception is an old story I heard, God, decades and decades and decades ago. And it stayed with me because it just is so descriptive and it's so true. And I need to apologize in advance for a word I'm going to use, but the story just is no good without it. So this image talks about when somebody in your life calls you a horse's ass, and you have to go, well, why did they say that? What am I doing, or what am I saying, or who am I being? And then you can say, well, that's just absolutely not true. I'm sorry they feel that way at the moment, but I know that I live my life in grace and kindness and love and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry that they're having a bad experience. And I may apologize for something that I said or did that made them feel that or not, but that's their thing, that they think I'm a horse's ass. But then somebody else comes along and they tell you, you know, you can really be a horse's ass. And you've got to say, God, am I really? Is there stuff that I am doing that like that? To make a long story really short, when 3 or 4 or 5, and the instance that I use here is people who love you, who try to tell you, listen, you're not living your grand adventure. You're angry all the time. You can't keep a job. You lose friends. You have friends for a while and you lose them, and you gain some new friends and you lose them, and you gain some friends and you lose them. You're being a horse's ass. And when you realize that, it's time to buy a saddle. So that's the exception. Now, excuse me. Now, along with talking about who you are, who you think you are, who you know you are, I need to talk quickly about the head and heart connection, which I've talked about before. I'm going to try to do this rather quick because it's not what this is about. But you do have 2 places that you exist from. The head, where your brain is, and that happens to be where your ego lives. And your ego gets out of control. Again, long story. And an out of control ego is the thing that makes you get angry. It makes you think you're better than other people. It makes you run down people. It makes you blame people. It makes you not be loving. Okay, that comes from your ego and your out of control ego. And the other place that you can vibrate from is your heart. And that's where love exists. And love makes you do the things that are showing on the right-hand side of the page, makes you want to be cooperative and caring and feeling kindness. So whenever anything's going on in your body or your life, the first thing I almost always do is say, is that my head or my heart? And usually if it's thinking that somebody's doing me wrong or something like that, it'll be head ego kind of thing. So I just want you to be aware of that as we're talking today about who you are, because sometimes people think they are who they aren't really, and it's because their ego is telling them that. The ego is telling them that they're right, everybody else is wrong. The ego is telling them that they have to fight and struggle and the world's a bad thing, et cetera, et cetera. But the heart will always say, hey, are we living from a place of love and a consciousness? Enough about that. Head or heart? So what I would like to suggest for you is every day you have a main intent. And that is for every day, every morning, every intention with your day is to stay in harmony with who you really are. I know a lot of you have heard things about having a morning ritual. Well, this is a very, very simple morning ritual. And that is when you wake up and become conscious of your 3D human life again, set an intention to live in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being, to have a day filled with that philosophy. And also, when you are in harmony and you feel inspired, you will recognize more the purposes and the purpose, the grand adventure that you came here for, the purpose or the dream that you have that in some way helps mankind. That's coming from your heart. That's when you're in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. You'll have a dream. You won't just flop around and let life push you around or anything like that. You will have a purpose. You will know what you're supposed to do, and you'll know to start putting effort into doing that. It's a wonderful place to be. And then there's someone who said, I live a life of favor because I know who I am. Well, the life of favor makes it sound as though the cosmic consciousness is cooperating with you and co-creating with you wonderful and beautiful things. When you want something and it's coming from a place of high vibration, cosmic consciousness then puts its power behind it and you get it, you get it delivered to you, you experience it. So when you feel that you are in favor with God, source, the universe, you are definitely co-creating with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. And sometimes you have those moments where you say, I know you love me, but you don't know me. Now, where, if you think about it, is that thought coming from? Is it coming from your head or from your heart? Obviously, it's coming from your head. Okay. And then there is the don't brag about who you are, what you are, or what you've done, because if it's there, if it's in there, it's also out there. And I think you'll find that if you look at braggarts, if you look at bullies, if you look at those people who have to constantly be telling you who they are and what they've done, don't say it, Carrie. They're not working from their heart. They're working from their head. And then as human beings, we do have times of ups and downs. So when it says, when I don't know who I am, that does happen because you're a human being. You live in a world that has positive and negative energy. You live in a world that ebbs and flows. So as a 3D human being, you will have ups and downs. You will have times of surety when you know what you're doing and times of doubt. But what I'm suggesting here is that you recognize the relationship of those, your ebbs and your flows. If you're happy, contented, kind, 90% of the time, and 10% of the time you have to pull back in because you're just feeling sad. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful human life you're existing. But if you're 90% angry, frustrated, struggling, crying, reacting to what people are doing to you, if you're living 90% in that, and 10% of the time you find that you can be with someone that you love, a youngster that you adore, that you have kindness in your heart 10% of the time, and 90% of the time you have the other, it's time to really look at where are you operating from and what messages are you sending to your co-creation partner, cosmic consciousness. Here, I know who I am. I don't have to brag. I know what I contribute. I know what I did. You think you can do better? Hey, go right ahead. The stage is yours. There's not competition there. You're not trying to outdo somebody. You're saying, I'm doing my part in my purpose of helping the world. I'm being of service in some way. And you have something that you want to do too. Do it. We all need to be doing it. Go right ahead. Do it. And then I love this Mary Kay Blige quote that says, I know who I am. I am not perfect. I am not the most beautiful woman in the world, but I'm one of them. Isn't that wonderful? She's got it. And what do you do in those times where you're wondering, who am I? Now, this thought can come into your mind seriously through your whole life. As a child, if somebody may say something to you, or your parents may say something that makes you wonder who I am. As a teenager, that's kind of what your teenage years are for, is for you to really start figuring out who you are. Who am I? Who do I want to be? Who am I? And then usually in your 20s and again in your 30s, excuse me, and again in your 40s and again in your 50s, many times in your life, it does you well to step back and say, who am I? Who am I being? Am I being who I want to be? So I love the C.E. Cummings quote that says, it takes courage to grow up and become who you really are. There's very few people on the planet Earth who enter as a child and stay there 100% most loving perfectness through their whole life. And there's one that I always use as the example, and that is the Dalai Lama. Have you ever in your life seen a happier, calmer, more joyful spirit in your life than this man who can live 24 hours a day, or at least 23 and a half hours a day, in kindness, because he lives in complete harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed him into being. So I'm going to show you here something that I took off of the website tinybuddha.com, and it's from one of their blogs, and it talks about what you can do to help figure out who you are. And the first thing is to sit down and seriously consider, what or who would you be if you couldn't fail? Now, you may have heard this before in your life. Do it again. When or who would you be if you couldn't fail? And don't give yourself 5 minutes for this. Go for a walk. Sit under a tree with pad and paper. Listen to calming music and allow yourself to settle down and connect with your heart. And find the answer to this question at this time in your life. It may change at another time in your life, but for this time in your life, who or what would you be if you could not fail? The second one is, what is your 90-second personal elevator speech? And I'm pretty sure most people know what this is, because most of the people that follow me are adults. But if you're younger, or if you haven't heard this expression, the elevator speech, it's if somebody said to you, who are you? You should have figured out who you are and then whittled that down to no excess words. Whittle that down to who you are. What do you do? Who do you help? Okay. One of my elevator speeches, I help wounded women who are ready to get their stuff together, who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I help them to rediscover their passion, their purpose, and their power. That's my 90-second elevator speech. I have others too. But you should have a 90-second elevator speech. Who do you help? What is your service? What's your grand purpose other than the grand adventure? What's your other purpose for helping the planet? Who do you help? Why do you help them? What's their problem? And what do you help them to discover? Who are you? Who do you help? How do you help them? Your 90-second elevator speech. Figure it out. Third, what are your core personal values? Now, sometimes you know your values your whole life. I've had a couple with me since I first recognized them, probably in my teen years. And my two main values, more than anything else in the world, is honesty and integrity. And I can pretty much say from the bottom of my heart that there's very, 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 very few times in my life that I have challenged either one of those, honesty or integrity. And there's other things that I consider my core values too. I suggest that everybody tries to figure out their top 5 core values. And if you're wondering about them, you actually can go on the internet and come up with a list of 50 or 100 core values that people value, core values that they value. And again, this is something that you want to think about. What is important to you? Honesty is important to me. I actually have several people of my own personal family that when I have asked them to be 100% honest with me, they can't do it. They can't vow honesty to me as a member of my family. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. Now, you don't have to be honest with the person down the street that says, how are you feeling? And you have been feeling not well, but you don't know them. You don't owe them anything. So it's all right for you to say, oh, I'm fine, kind of thing. But for anybody for me, that I have a personal relationship, if I have vowed to be your friend, that means I'm going to be honest with you, and also means that I really expect honesty back. Just amazes me how many people can't do that. But anyway, so what are your core personal values through your life? Maybe before now, or if not now, what are the 5 core values that you're going to live by and stand up for, and be a stand-up guy? Next one is, what makes you genuinely happy? This is all, again, trying to figure out who you really are. What makes you genuinely happy? I have several things in my life that just the thought of doing them brings me a flood of love and joy. What are those things for you? What makes you happy? Know them, because they are a peak. They are an opening. They are a glimpse of one of your life's purposes. What makes you happy? And then the last thing I want to suggest is, if money were no object, how would you live your life differently? And again, these all are really deep subjects. So please take time to do this, and take time to revisit them. Why not do it once a year? If you want to give yourself a gift of not only understanding who you are, but being who you are, a day before your birthday, or a day after your birthday, or the day of your birthday is what I really think is the day to sit down with these 5 questions and visit them again. Maybe have a journal that every year you go in and write, at this age I thought these thoughts, at this age I thought these thoughts, but stick with this who am I thing, so that you keep yourself in complete integrity with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. Wonderful thoughts, I think. Okay. And the wonderful thing is you get to choose. You get to choose to do these things or not. One of the things that you can choose is kindness. Kindness is choosing love over hate, light over darkness, and compassion over judgment. Ta-da. Now, If you are someone who is in turmoil, in trying to find the difference between your head and your heart, or trying to get out of your head and spend more time in your heart, I just am a huge advocate of meditation. Meditation will change your life. If you're not meditating daily, trust me, it will change your life. Meditation will change your life. So I've almost always got another meditation workshop coming up. You've probably seen me talk about this before. I do meditation workshops whenever I have enough people interested in doing them. So if you would like to be put on the waiting list of the next meditation workshop, and by the way, what this workshop is, it's not teaching people how to sit and be quiet, and when their thoughts come into their head, just let them come into their head. This is designed for hardcore I can't meditate people, which means that anybody can take it and can learn from it. But it really has the meat of how you learn how to meditate if you're somebody who has resisted meditation. If you have some head versus heart thoughts that you say, I've tried meditation, I just can't do it. Well, this class, this workshop will teach you how to meditate. Not only that, it will teach you how to connect with your cosmic consciousness. It'll teach you how to separate your cosmic consciousness self and set aside your humanness for a while. Set aside the feeling of your skin and where you're sitting in your room. You can actually become in complete communication with your cosmic consciousness. Now, that doesn't happen in 1 week, but it can happen. And that's the kind of meditation I teach, because I want you to live in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. So if you want to let me know that you're interested to be put on a waiting list for the next meditation workshop, just send me an email at meditation. Oh, it says challenge. It'll come to the same box. Meditation challenge at harmonyenterprises.net. I apologize for the typo there. Meditation workshop or meditation challenge, either one will take you into the right place in my inbox. And then I will put you on the waiting list to let you know when you can register for the next meditation workshop. Okay? Good. Okay. Now, the bottom line is this wonderful Will Smith quote. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Friday is National Senior Health and Fitness Day. So if you are a senior, who knows what age that starts at, okay? Don't be afraid to pay attention to yourself, to pay attention to your health, your mental health, your physical health, your head and your heart, and to live in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. And Saturday is National Creativity Day. So one of the wonderful things about creativity is that comes from a place of love and kindness. It comes from the heart. So if you can find something to do on Saturday that you get to create through, if you're a woodworker, work your wood. If you're a potter, great day to honor your skills as a potter. If you sing, if you dance, if you draw, if you paint, if you write poems, whatever you do to be creative, Saturday honors that day. It's National Creativity Day. And if anybody's not watching me on the Facebook page, Harmony Enterprises with Carrie Fox, please know that's where I live. And that's where I have daily inspirations that I put in there. That's where you can ask me questions about anything that you see or hear in any of these Wisdom Wednesdays that you may have a question about. Come to harmonyenterprises.net. Like the page, join our group, whatever you want to do, and ask me any questions that you want. Next week is Wisdom Wednesday is about all things are connected. This is a Chief Seattle quote. I love these Wisdom Wednesdays because it makes me really get into the wisdom of all the philosophers that we've had in this world. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand of it. Infinite wisdom that dreamed him into being. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. So when we do things in this cosmic consciousness experiment of 3D human being life on planet Earth, when we do it to ourselves, when we do it to our neighbor, we are doing it to the web of life. So that's what we're going to talk about next week, which is Wednesday, June 3rd. So remember, live in harmony with the infinite wisdom that dreamed you into being. And if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's time to get your mojo back. You can ask me about that anytime on the Facebook page, through an email, whatever you want to do. So thank you for joining me today. And all I can say is bye for now. See ya.